Welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 34, and we're doing 11 Below's Brewing's Oktoberfest versus Galveston Island's Oktoberfest.
I like the
Um,
way that you added an S. It's
yeah,
11 below brewing,
it's
but
11
that's fine.
Below Brewing's and Galveston
Oh,
Island Brewing's. I messed
I
up my S's, all right? You know?
yeah, they're possessive for everyone that was wondering. It's 11 below brewing
S-
Oktoberfest
Yes.
and Galveston Island Brewing Oktoberfest. They're
Yeah.
taking ownership with the S of
Right.
the
It's an
Oktoberfest.
apostrophe S, not just an S at the end of it.
Correct. It
Yeah.
seemed weird. I thought, are they sponsored by that wing chain? You know what I'm saying?
Brewings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the longest time I called it Brie Wings. I was like, yeah, it's a wing place called Brie Wings, and then obviously then somebody pointed it out
That's
to me. But
that's that's funny because I never thought that ever.
yeah, well, it's the way the sign's written. But yes, 11 Below Brewing
Well,
Oktoberfest
it's kind of
versus
it's kind of like
11.
PetSmart, you know? Is it PetSmart or is it PetSmart?
Well, I mean, it's a store, so it's PetSmart. Yeah, but altogether, I
Oh, yeah.
guess
See,
it
but
can
you
be
got
construed
that
on
one,
there.
but you didn't get Brewings.
Nope, yep. So I'm batting 500, dude. I'll take it. That's pretty good,
All right.
right?
Well, yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna start off with the 11 below this week,
11 Below.
so we can get into that.
Also, I think we talked about this last week. They are having someone halfway print their cans because again, the 11 below brewing without an S is solidly printed on the can and then they wrap with something else. But what I find so funny about this is even though this looks like the Equate version of a label, doesn't it? Right? This is the
Yeah.
store brand of a label. They got some clip art beer cans on there with a pretzel. They're like, that'll do. What are you
Yeah.
picking that out of a Teams conversation available gifts? The hell is
Yeah.
that?
Well, they've also got the blue and white diamond kind of in the background.
They are
The
keeping it classic.
so that's cool.
Keeping it classic with that, but I think they could have picked better images. Bro, off the top, listen.
Oh yeah. That's
And this
nice.
is this that's an angle pour, just like I did every other can.
Oh wow. That's a
For
nice head.
for me, out of the yeah, perfect on the head front. In fact, you want this to dissipate. I actually this video, and I don't remember what it was, but this guy takes a bottle, and you're technically supposed to pour a beer just like straight up, so that the entire thing fills with foam, and then it dissipates. But
Yes.
color a little darker than I think I would like, but nonetheless, great head. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
I think the color is very nice.
yeah, 11 Below Brewing without the S. This is from the H Town here. This is from, Be Someone Town. This is where this is.
Yeah, this is from the H. Uh, I've had actually a couple of their beers before too, and all of their cans are kind of this art style. So I think that's what they just go for.
Yeah, like the afterthought clip art. That's just their thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just what they're
Okay.
rolling with. I
I
respect
mean,
it, sticking with a theme, you know?
yeah, I get it. I mean, the fact that they got diamonds, think they put something into it. I wonder what
Yeah.
11 Below stands for.
You know what? I don't know.
Because I mean, well,
We're not like
carbot. Let's think.
hmm,
We're not below
we're not like below sea
blocks. Oh,
we're not like below sea level or anything.
no, I mean, I don't know that to be a fact either. But maybe they're 11 blocks below downtown. I don't even know where they're physically at. We can look at the address in a minute. Um, but like, what's crazy? So Eighth Wonder, right? That makes sense. It's right
Mm.
across from the Astrodome, the eighth wonder of the world. Karbach, I mean, I don't know, German heritage maybe. Um, St. Arnold, obviously the patron saint of brewing. But 11 Below, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I wish I knew more about it. Have to go
Who
there and
else
ask
is,
them or something.
who are the, yeah, touche. Who are the other big players as far as Houston breweries in town? Those are the big ones, right? Mini Boss, who is that? Eureka Heights?
Eureka Heights is another one. Uh,
But are they in the Heights? That makes sense.
I think so.
Okay.
Never again. I've never been there, so I'm not 100%.
Okay.
Man, I feel like there's another one that's big.
Bro, you know what? Listen, I'm just gonna say it. It's not an alarming smell, but it smells like. Have you ever done? Have you ever like done joint laundry and like?
I I haven't personally, but I've been in a laundromat. Yeah.
Well, it smells like you're doing communal laundry. That's what the foam smells like to me.
Oh, that's not pleasant.
No, but I mean, it's part of life.
I was actually gonna say that I liked the smell of it before, but now I feel like I don't.
You, sir, might enjoy communal laundry. I don't know.
Hmm, I don't know. I do know that these two are, at least based on what I could find on the internet, uh, pretty equivalent in their ABV and IBU. So the 11 below is a 5.3. I don't know if the can says otherwise.
No, it says 5.3.
Okay, and the IBU is 22.
Yep. And then I guess we'll get into it on the Galveston, but it's at a 5.4 ABU, and then I don't know. I don't have the IBUs. Do you have an IBU call out on
Uh,
Galveston's?
yeah, so the IBU for Galveston's is also 22. So they're very similar.
So they have their own acronym. Galveston Brewing, I know that we're not into it yet, but Galveston Brewing has its own acronym, BOI, which stands for Brewed on Island.
It also is boy.
What? Yeah, I guess
Boy?
like what's
Boy?
the like half of Outcast,
Did
right?
you say bois?
Big boy. No, I said boy.
Okay.
Like big boy, like the other half of Outcast, the non Andre 3000 part of Outcast is Big Boy.
Okay, I didn't
Okay.
know that's what his name was.
Are you kidding me?
No, I didn't. I mean, I know them, but I never really, I guess, knew. I mean, I knew Andre 3000, but
Well, see, it's because, yeah, like old people know, like obviously there was the split. What was that album called? Like the Split album, right? Great album, but where like it was a double album. So like Big Boy had his own album, and then Andre 3000 had his own album thing. It wasn't like all the other Outcasts where they were together. So Big Boy's more like rapper. I know we're going on a tangent, but like Big Boy's more like rap, good lyricist. Um, Kind of down and dirty, I would say, as far as rapper. And then obviously Andre 3000 is kind of like out there and is like jazz, Little Richard rap, I guess, if you could say.
yeah,
Um, but nonetheless, he spells his name BOI. So Big Boy, BOI, or boy, not
boy,
bois. Yeah, boy.
big bois.
Anyways, but Big Bois, that's the French, whether it be Canadian or Cajun French version.
Yeah,
But anyway, he's brewed on island, so that's Galveston terminology there. But back to 11 below started. Um, Marzen on the can, 5 point alcohol per volume, 22 IB. You've already tasted it, so I'm pretty sure you know where my fatal flaw is.
is it too bitter for you?
No, too sweet.
Oh, too sweet, really?
Yeah, I mean, I get the bitterness up
Mm,
front at entry, but it finishes like a loaf of cinnamon roll to me.
a loaf of cinnamon roll?
Well, I don't know. That was
Oh
terrible
man,
phrasing, but you get what I'm saying.
I don't know if it's that sweet. It's definitely not as sweet to me as the what was the as the Texas the Oktoberfest.
I'm gonna disagree. This finishes to me like a wheat beer. So,
Mm.
and I'm not. I mean, that's like the biggest downfall. Head definitely wins at this point, but I'll tell you this: I wouldn't. I'm not gonna seek out another one.
Dang, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
In fact, yeah. In fact, if it were to get, as the conversation goes on, if it were to get to room temperature, I would just abandon it. Yeah.
Ooh. Mm.
So sorry, H Town. I know I'm supposed to represent, but 11 below refers to its ranking on a scale from 1 to 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 11 below the one. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that we don't need to Google it. Maybe that's what it stands for. Hate to
Maybe.
be that harsh. So you said that you tried other 11 belows?
I think I have, but maybe I was thinking about Eureka Heights because
Yeah, Eureka Heights.
I know I've had the mini boss from there, which it's an IPA, but I enjoy it.
No, all
Um,
of their and I like their branding too. It plays on the 8-bit, maybe 16, but 8 pictures, right?
yeah. So I don't know if I've actually had any other 11 below or not.
It also, I will say this, I like the way that they write seasonal on the can. I'm glad that they don't, affect us with this all year round, right? But speaking of seasonal releases and limited releases, I hear, is there news?
Yeah, the McRib is coming back on October 31st, but there's a little
Yeah,
bit of a twist this time, as they've announced it'll be the final time that the McRib comes out.
right. Headlines have never lied to us. That's what you're telling
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they tweeted it with their account, so you know.
me? So McDonald's is in the business to make money. Listen, they're not in the hamburger business, okay? They might claim they're in the real estate business. Everybody's heard that cliche. They're in the money making business. And guess who their cash cow is at least once a year? The McRib. It's funny because I
The
said cash
McFib.
cow when obviously it's a poor product, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the McFib meat. It's all fake.
I mean, you can call it what it. Yeah, I mean, I say you can call it what it is, but we don't even know what that is. So we can't necessarily call it what it is, but if they're gonna sit there and lie to us and say that it's not coming back, and we eat that up, then we have a larger problem as society. The fact that listen to all the puns. We're just gonna eat that up. The lies that they're feeding us. We're gonna eat them up like we do the McRib every single time it comes back. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like George Strait, right? He's done five
Yeah.
final rodeo appearances.
Right. And the Eagles have a farewell tour every 2 years. Well, I mean, even after they die, they have a farewell tour every 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I don't know. I mean, but what if it is the last time though, you know? I feel
So
like
here's the thing.
society is kind of falling out of love with a restructured pork patty.
Yes, I do, but also I'm not gonna lie. Like the just that little seed of that, like this might be the last time, is enough of a threat where I'm gonna go out and get one. I don't want to be
Exactly.
not on the bandwagon. You know what I mean?
Even that's what marketing's all about, you know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I'd love to be able to tell my kids like, oh, the last time ever, I was part of that. I ate
Mm,
one,
I had one.
and they'll never experience it.
So here's the thing is like I'm not even a huge fan of them. And they're
Oh no.
okay. But I'm gonna have one, you know?
Yeah.
I have to now.
It's I don't want to say it's nostalgia, but it's like I don't necessarily care for share, but if somebody gave me free tickets, I'm not turning them down. That's kind of how I feel about the McRib. You know, it's
Yeah.
here. Really, for me, it's the definition of when in Rome. You know, it's
Right.
here. Do it.
When on the corner of a freeway, you know?
Yeah, that.
Might as
When
well.
I'm mentally down and out and or drunk, right? You got to do it.
I don't know
Yeah,
if I
I
would
don't.
say it's nostalgia either, but I think it's more of like I wouldn't even I don't think that peer pressure is necessarily the best word either, but like it was it's always so hyped up every year, you know, when they release it. And I just every year I'm like, well, I mean, you know, yeah, yeah, I'll go get one, you know. It's never like never have I seen the McRib is back and gotten excited. You know what I mean? But like so many people get excited that it makes me excited.
Yeah, I will. I will say this: when you mentioned that it was back, inside I was like, "Oh hell yeah, the McRib's back!" Like I have there's no benefit to it being back, but I was still like not excited, but I was like, "Oh cool." It's almost like when Walmart or Hobby Lobby starts putting out Christmas decorations. I'm like,
In July,
"Oh,
yeah.
yeah." I mean, like it's gonna be Christmas in 3 months or whatever, 4 months. I feel like that with the McRib. I'm like, oh, the season's changing. Like, oh yeah,
All right, right. It's
something's
like, oh, the weather's gonna shift to like 78 instead of 90.
yeah. There's this
Nice.
there's this semblance that comes with the McRib. Um, one other thing that I just thought of, it's got onions on it, and does it have pickles?
I think so.
I don't know. Obviously, I taste them if they're on there.
Again, I'm not a big connoisseur of it, so I don't really know. I mean, I don't even know necessarily what kind of barbecue they're putting on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the meat is, but I think they're like claim, when they do for years and years, their marketing campaign for the Big Mac was like two all beef, special sauce, lettuce, pickles, all on a sesame seed. Like that was their spill. And I think when they did the McRib, it was like, hand cut onions, which I mean maybe they're hand cut by somebody else. But anyways, I don't remember if it has pickles on it, but it's not even memorable
Listen,
enough.
they're not letting anybody that's working inside of a McDonald's right now hand cut onions. Ain't nobody
Hey,
back there got a knife, bro.
so here's the thing. You say that, but again, I watch. There's this guy, and the kids love him. I watched this guy on YouTube. His name is Steven Pachula, Patula. And what's hilarious about him and his family on a couple of actually very interesting because he shows you working on the line. Uh, he's got a McRib video coming out, but he shows you a bunch of other things that they do in the background. He also abbreviates his name S. Pachula, which spells spatula,
Spatula.
which is just unique. He was born to own a McDonald's franchise. Anyways, they actually do a lot more than you would think. Like it's real eggs. They crack them. They put them on a flat top. Um, they're frozen. Actually, not anymore frozen, but like it's patties that go on a grill. Like they cook their bacon in the oven. This place, at least he's in Kentucky, I think. They make their own biscuits from scratch and their own cookies from scratch. Um, scratch. But anyways, it's very interesting. And then he shows how they build all the sandwiches. Obviously, they're frying the pre-made chicken patties and stuff. But I'm sure he's going to release. Every time he puts something out, we watch it, and he does shorts. They're like 2 minutes, and it really shows you like how to build um, a McChicken or how to build a double cheeseburger and like just how systematic the process is. Super awesome. So I'm sure he's going to put one out on the McRib and he'll give us the insights. Also, he's become an for McDonald's, so I'm surprised that he didn't release the fact that McRib was coming out because when they came out, McDonald's let him do the official release, like on his TikTok, because he has that many followers now.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I can't remember what it was. It was something. It was like their answer to the Orange Julius. Have you ever had an Orange Julius?
I have not. No, I don't even know what that is.
Oh, bro, it's like this. It's like a sunny delight, kind of like a slushy whipped sunny delight. I'm really not doing it justice because it's amazing. But you get them in like the mall food court back in the day. Anyways, McDonald's had a version of that that apparently was like seasonal, and whenever it came back, he got to do like the full promo on his TikTok for everybody. Like McDonald's let him do the re-release for this side of the world, right? Not Europe, but this side of the world.
Oh damn.
So he's gained some clout, man,
Man, he's out here. He's out here pushing burgers, bro.
for show. He
Pushing
now
merch.
owns the franchise. I think he bought one from his parents or something like that. But anyways, it's cool. So check him out. I don't know what actually the channel's called, but Stephen Pachula or Spatula, if you abbreviate it correctly. But I guarantee you, he'll have a spill on the McRib, and he'll give you a little bit of insight. He also has some pretty nifty hacks, like you can get any burger dressed any way you want. We're way off on a tangent, but I have to spill this. You can get any burger dressed any way you want. So technically, you can get a McDouble with lettuce and Big Mac sauce that is a Big Mac for $1.89.
Oh damn.
It's just missing the middle bun, right? Which you don't need anyways. I think that's extra. You don't need that. You really
No,
want the
I
sauce. You
mean,
really want the lettuce. It's all the same thing.
yeah, it's
So
all it is. But
yeah.
that's kind of the third bun is kind of what makes the Big Mac the Big Mac,
Oh, I mean, iconically. I mean, yes.
right?
And
Because
here's the
like
other thing.
other people have that sauce. Because I mean, let's be honest, it's not a special sauce. We all know what it is. But you know, what makes it different is the bun in the middle, because ain't nobody else doing that.
Yeah, the other part of that is both sides of that bun. When you like the Big Mac bun itself is pieces, which people don't realize. Like the middle bun is like toasted on both sides.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've never destructured mine.
Oh, bro, special toaster. There's a designated because McDonald's has their stuff together. Designated slot, both sides is the only bun that does that.
Hmm, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have something that McDonald's has taken away that they've never brought back that you miss that you can think of?
Oh yeah, actually I do. Do you have something specific? Because I'm gonna go with the I don't know if you remember this. It wasn't that long ago. Maybe I don't know, 10 years, maybe 15 years ago. But they had it was like a Big Mac, but like half a patty in a tortilla, like a wrap. I don't know if you remember this.
What? No, I don't remember this.
Oh my god, I don't know what they were called, but it was like one half of a Big Mac patty. Maybe I don't know all the different patties. Maybe it was like a home style or a quarter pounder. I don't remember, but it was like half of that with like shredded lettuce, pickles, and Big Mac sauce, but wrapped in a tortilla.
Oh my.
It was like McDonald was like, you know what? We're drawing a line in the sand. We're gonna battle Taco Bell for this particular period of time. I don't know if like Taco
Right.
Bell was starting to like get their shit together or whatever. But anyways, McDonald's. It was yeah. And I don't remember. They were called snack wraps. That's what they were called.
Dude, so that's what I was gonna say. Is there the snack wraps, but there was one that was like a chicken ranch and lettuce one. That was
Uh,
that was my favorite one.
okay, so it's still in the same. It had to have been. So how long ago do we think that was? 10 years, maybe.
Oh yeah, at least because they
Okay.
weren't there anymore when I started driving.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, this was. I mean, yeah. Maybe because of age. I mean, definitely. This was. I think it was in like like they probably finished them when I was like in college or maybe slightly there out. But I just remember them being they were like the dollar menu craze. They weren't
Dude,
dollar menu
yes.
items, but they were
Y-
legit.
Yeah, they were. They were a dollar menu.
Were they? Okay, I
Yeah,
don't I
dude, you
don't
could roll in for I think so, for like $1 and get one. Maybe
Yeah,
it was
so
like $1 or $2 or something, but either way, it was cheap.
so you went the chicken route, but yeah, they had one that was this it was like a Mac snack wrap is what it
Oh,
was.
dude,
And it was legit.
that's legit. I didn't know about that. Now I'm even more sad that they're gone
Yeah. The
because
reason
I'd
I
love to
remember that
try that.
is because they were really good, but also this guy talked about that's also one of his favorite items that's gone away. He's thankful because apparently they were a pain in the butt to put together, like working there.
See, that blows my mind because it seems so simple.
I just think it was a different model, man. Like their assembly line is burgers, patties, pre portioned protein, and this kind of changed the game.
I mean, I get Jack in the Box is doing all kinds of crazy stuff though, and they're
You're
doing
right.
just fine.
Oh, also too, I have to mention this. We're way off on a tangent, but everybody always speaks to the efficiency of Chick-fil-A's drive-through, proven yet again this year. And in fact, Katie brought it to my attention.
Yeah, I saw this.
You did? On average, they're slower than almost everyone else. But it's the customer service.
See, because this is what blows my mind though, is that I feel. Are you sure that it was on average or not just in general?
What do you mean in
Because
general versus on average? You're
because
going to have to
like
use some valid terminology.
because I feel like the lines at Chick-fil-A are always longer than other places. So
Okay, but
so is it like the average person wait time, or is it like peak hour time that you wait in the line?
I think the way that they do it is per capita, which might not be fair, but yeah, per
I
capita.
mean, it might be fair, but
Like,
anyways, because I saw that article and it just kind of blew my mind because I was like, I genuinely don't think in my life I've ever spent more than 3 to 4 minutes inside of a Chick-fil-A drive-through line.
so
Whereas
I
like Whataburger or McDonald's or Jack in the Box, like literally any other place, I can name or I can't name on both of my hands how many times I've sat in those lines for more than 7 or 8 minutes.
so maybe so, but like we don't eat. Not that we're against it, and not even for like the sake of service, but like we don't eat a lot of Chick Fil A. But I will tell you this: every time that, and we don't eat a lot of fast food in general, but I would say like every time that I'm in a Chick-fil-A line, I'm like, "Ugh, really? Right? Whereas I never get that feeling in any other line. So again, that's not a great comparison, but like every time I'm in a Chick-fil-A line, I'm like, oh my God. Like I know that it's great food. I know the customer service is amazing. Like they have it tip top. But every time I'm there, I'm like, wow, have I wasted some time out of my life? Where
I
I
don't know.
don't feel that with anyone else. I mean, it's still a great product,
Maybe
great
I'm just blinded by the
experience.
customer service then, because
And
like
that, and
I genuinely don't think I've ever been in a Chick-fil-A line for more than 4 minutes.
that might be true. Also historically, everyone's blinded by the customer service. That's why the customer service exists, right? For that exact purpose.
That's fair.
But the other thing that I would say is, I don't know if anyone else is doing quite the drive-through volume. Like I would say, I don't know the statistics, but I think it's like 65% up to 70% of Chick-fil-A's volume is drive-through, whereas I don't know if that's the same split in every other fast food. I know that it's all heavy drive-through, but
I would say McDonald's is probably up there.
yeah, but I would say it's probably 60-40 versus 70-30, and that makes a big
Yeah,
difference
maybe.
when we're talking about thousands of people.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I tell you what, the thing that Chick-fil-A's got going for them, and there's some other places that do this too, but not as often, is when they get the people outside taking your order.
Yeah.
Like they're standing there with the tablets taking your order, and they're just walking down the line of cars taking orders because it makes it go faster. It seems to me, and they're
Well,
just
I mean,
bumping
based
people
based
through.
based on statistics, it doesn't. However,
But it's that customer service.
that's right. It makes you feel such is that. Also, that doesn't speak to accuracy. Like they might be killing it on accuracy. I don't know. You
I
know
don't.
what I
I
mean?
mean, it's well, McDonald's is by far the least accurate on
You're
orders.
you're right.
It's probably
I
like
was
McDonald's and then Taco Bell right behind it because Taco Bell always puts the sour cream in my stuff when I ask them not to, every
oh,
single time.
that's because they just know what's better for you. They're just
That's
like this
true.
fool.
Here's the thing with that. Like my issue with the sour cream isn't the sour cream. It's that one time I got a taco or like a burrito, and they just threw a plop of it all on one side, and I
Oh
bit
well,
into it, and that was all I got, and I was like, nope, I don't ever want this again.
Well,
But
that's Taco Bell in general, dude. You literally, when you get a bean, cheese, and sour cream burrito, you eat all the sour cream first, then all the cheese first, and then you get to the meat. That's just the way that they're doing it. They're
no,
not
see,
Chipotle in that bad boy. They're not mixing that bad boy up at all.
what they need to do is just pre-mix it like they do everything else. You know what I mean? Just throw it all in
Yeah,
one big batch like a chili, and just
yeah.
scoop that stuff out and swipe it.
That is, yeah. I've
I
never
mean, it's all
seen.
going. It's all. Let's be honest with ourselves. It
Yeah, it
there's
doesn't
not
even get
there's
enough.
nothing crazy good about Taco Bell. It's just Taco Bell. You know what I mean? And by
I'm
the
gonna be
time you
honest.
get it all, anything that's supposed to be cold in there is scorching hot. Anyways,
Or vice versa, right? It's
yeah.
ice cold.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it stays in my body long enough to commingle into one particular mixture, anyways.
Yeah. It doesn't really all go to one place inside of me, anyways. So
No, no, no.
it pretty
By the
much is
time
just a straight. It's a straight flow. You know what I mean?
to just elaborate on a visual here, if we're eating it in section, by the time the meat's getting in as the last portion, is out. So it's not like they're mixing together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Right. In my case, I would have taken the bite of that sour cream, and that's the first thing that was coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's interesting. So the McRib's back. Everybody go out get one because this could be your last opportunity.
Hmm.
I find that hard to believe. Also, dude, it's crazy to me. This is one last thing I'll mention about McDonald's, but we grew up with the hot and spicy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you know that that's just a southern thing.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So up north, they don't do that. They have the McChicken sandwich and the crispy McChicken sandwich, but they don't have hot and spicy.
Is it spicy or no?
No, it's not spicy up there. It's just a regular chicken sandwich.
Okay,
And
well,
so,
anyone that's from the north that may or may not stumble upon this, I feel sorry for you.
yeah.
Because there's something about a cheap chicken patty
It's spicy.
that's spicy, that makes me happy.
Now the other part is this. So when I mentioned it, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, I'll get a hot and spicy and a McDouble." And the guy was like, "Excuse me, what?" This was a buddy of mine, and I was like, "Yeah, hot and spicy." And he was like, "What is that?" I explained what it was, and then he was like, "Oh, we just call them a McChicken." And I'm not gonna lie, at that time I was like, I don't even think that we have a not hot and spicy. We don't have a dollar option McChicken, do we? We
Not
don't.
that I know of, but I've heard people talk about. First of all, I've never ordered a McChicken,
Yeah, neither have I.
but I've heard people from this area say that they like the McChicken, and I'm like, you mean a hot and spicy? And they're like, no, the McChicken. So
So
you're
here's
wrong.
the thing. I finally learned that the hot and spicy came out in this territory. There was no McChicken. And then they bolted on the McChicken here, but they never bolted on the hot and spicy up wayward,
I
up
wonder
maybe
if that's
north.
a
But
culture thing because I mean,
100%.
population wise, we have a lot more Hispanic people here, at least.
Well,
So I
and
mean, it sounds like a little bit a little bad to say, but like they like
no,
spicy stuff. You know what I mean?
no, 100%.
Well,
I mean,
first
I
of all,
also,
not all of them. One of our neighbors just can't do spicy, but yeah.
no, but I mean, it's not even that. It's like Cajun influence,
Oh yeah, that's
right?
true too. I didn't even think about that.
And what we don't think about is like even down into like if we talk about we always think of New Orleans, right? Louisiana, the Cajun influence, the spicy, especially like your cayennes, which is what's driving up the heat of the McChicken. But even like Florida, Alabama, they all have some version of spicy, some non when you get closer to the folks that, stayed tied to the native English culture. It's just trash up there.
I wonder if the hot and spicy is available in SoCal.
That'd be a good like San Diego might be the I don't know if McDonald's drew their own Mason Dixon line for the hot and spicy the McSpicy line,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude, it was an interesting concept. I didn't somebody brought it to my attention because I didn't understand one way or the other. Like I just thought it was a hot and spicy. I didn't know.
Yeah, dude. A hot and spicy with some fries and a ranch. That's my go-to meal.
Yeah.
Put the fries on the sandwich with a little bit of ranch on it.
See, I'm not gonna like I don't change it the way that it comes out of the wrapper, but like respect to you. I do wish just a little bit they would dial back on the mayo. I don't know if it's 7 or 8 cups of mayo that they put on that bad boy,
So
but
that's
dude,
dude, that's another thing too, is they just plop that mayo down on one spot too. They don't spread that at all. It's
it's
just like right on one spot and you get all of it in one bite
it,
every
it's like
time.
if you looked at the makeup, it's like 10% bun, 20% chicken, and 70% mayonnaise. Like with a
Yeah.
little bit of room for
Two
lettuce,
two
but that's it.
percent 2% lettuce.
Yeah. Like Jesus, I guarantee
Uh,
you the calorie breakdown on that bad boy is all mayo
oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
with their little caulk guns. I don't know if you've ever seen that with their little caulk guns, the way they put it on there.
Yeah. Well, I never saw that until I mean I didn't know about that for a long time until like I saw a little clip on Twitter or something, and I was like, that seems like an extremely efficient way to spread out or to put condiments on there. But now, thinking about it, now that I know and what I know from my history of using caulk guns, it's not. I mean
Most
that.
inefficient. Unless you're a wizard, dude. Guys that are good with a caulk gun, just magicians. But
Yeah,
apparently
but
they
those
aren't.
people ain't working in a
McDonald's.
McDonald's, son.
No, no, no. McDonald's is not
They're
employing
making
them.
a lot more money spreading that caulk than they are freaking spreading that mayo, although very similar.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
the McRib is back, and we've got another thing that's back. The Astros are back in the World Series.
Back in the World Series, baby. What is it? 4 out of the last 6 years.
4 out of the last 6 years, man. It's wild. I saw a thing the other day on Twitter too that said, because I'd forgotten this, that we didn't join the American League until 2012. So we've
Yeah,
been
I
in the
knew it was.
American League for 10 years. We've been in the playoffs for 7 of them. We've been to the ALCS for 6 of them. And we've been to the World Series for 4 of them.
So I'm gonna make a controversial statement that I know that you're not gonna agree with. but I'm going to have to say this. We entered the American League in 2012, and we've been in the World Series 4 out of the last 6 years, right? Considering we've only had a 10-year run in the American League. Just goes to show you that those the designated hitter play in an easier league, right?
Mm,
I mean, stats are stats, right? If you played real baseball, I don't like the National League, but if you played real baseball where you had to strategically play around a crappy hitter, everyone was forced to bat, then the challenge associated with that yields less effective results than being in a league where you can just have, a badass that can swing a bat that carries one particular spot for your weakest player.
yeah, so having somebody
Again,
that's better
distrust.
at the position makes it weaker. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I just think statistically, if you can stack your offensive lineup, now we're talking apples to apples, right? So the Stros are playing against other folks in the American League that also have that advantage. Okay, so I guess all things considered, it's equal, and we're still excelling. But I would say if you can stack your offense with one particular great batter and not have to work around a weak spot that plays defense, like every other sport, mind you, um, then it changes the game a little bit.
I wouldn't say
But
every
I'll
other
get off
sport.
that. So
Football, you
if you
have different people on offense and different people on defense.
you do, but if you have a weak spot on that defense, then it's reflected in the performance of the defense. If you have
But
a
it's not
strong
reflected in the performance of the offense.
right, but that's a different ball game, dude. Legitimately, 100% different ball game. I will stand tooth and nail by we should not have the designated hitter. Like if they're but either way, still go Stros. Let me revert back. Let's bring some happiness back to the conversation here. Let's revert back to nonetheless, the Stros are killing it, and we're back in the postseason.
We're back in the World Series.
Yes,
Uh,
successfully through the majority of the postseason.
um, I saw another thing too that we swept the Yankees in less innings than it took to sweep the Seahawks. Not Seahawks, the Mariners. Seattle's Mariners.
Dude.
I'm on football, bro. You know what I mean? Just stop. All right. No,
I
so
mean,
it took us 37 and a half innings to sweep the Mariners in a 5-game series, and it took us 37 innings to sweep the Yankees in a 7-game series.
that's very interesting. Also, which I love, anything that we can throw back on the Yankees. But I will bring up very quickly, there's a good chance that the Houston Astros, if they were playing the Seahawks, might be more successful than the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
I mean,
there
that's
is
just
a
a
very
point I'll
good
make.
chance. I'll tell
Just
you what,
saying.
I would just hand the ball off to Jordan every time. I feel like he could not get tackled.
You could throw some pads on the guys and just give it a whirl. We might be doubling down on franchise. I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's just going to be a year-round team.
So speaking of, whenever I think I mentioned this to you, but like the first two games of the first game of the series with New York and the second game of the series with New York, I was in. Well, one day I was in New Jersey, and then the next day I was in New York, and so we're at this big convention, and so I think it was like game two, maybe. Yeah, it was game two. I think it was like seventh inning. I can't remember exactly. Also, I will say this: like, I'm very pumped up. I'm very excited that we made it through the sweep. But like, I remember more of the Mariners series than I do of the New York series. Like, that's just how uneventful it was, at least until the last game, right?
Yeah.
So we're in this like big convention center area, right? And I'm not paying attention, obviously, because I'm rooting for the Stros. But it was like that, second or third out of the seventh inning, and like boom, Yankee bat cracks, dude, and it's just going back, right? The whole room is just like like there's just this roar of people, like it's going, and then obviously it falls short, right? Tucker catches it on the warning track, and like room goes silent. I literally stood up and I was like, yeah, and I turned around and there's just a mob of the ugliest Italian Guido faces I've ever seen in my entire life. that are just basically throwing me the finger. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, holy crap! I am, a fish out of water. Like I am definitely the underdog here. I think there was one other guy that had like he didn't have any like Astros memorabilia on, but maybe he had a keychain in his pocket. I can't confirm that, but you know what I mean? Like he
Uh,
was low key fan. Everyone else, in fact, two of the guys literally threw their stuff on the table and just walked out. And I was like, look, I'm not a threat to you, but obviously we're gonna win. You know. Uh,
yeah.
but the other part to this was like I said, the next day. So now we're up 2 games. So this would have been Friday morning, right? So yeah, Friday morning. We're up 2 games, and we're getting ready. We're packing up. We're leaving, and immediately, this is just the mentality of a Yankees fan. Immediately, they're like, "Well, I mean, you guys are playing a good, you're playing a good game. The guys are on fire,
Yeah.
like things, like just trying to make sure that if they do end up getting swept, which ended up happening, they could fall back on the fact that like this is a phenomenal team, which it is, but like that's the mentality of a Yankee fan. Like we can only lose. I mean, we'll only feel good about losing if we can give all the props to who's beating us because they're just on fire. No, we're just better. It's not
Yeah.
about being on fire right now. We're just better.
Yeah. Than them for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, this year kind of cemented that. I think really put the nail in the coffin on that one, because there's been so much of the freaking cheating talk for so long, and how we can only beat them when cheating. Well, guess what, dude? It took us 3 less games to do it this year than it did the year we cheated. So that's interesting. Just
Yeah,
saying.
that too, and we also didn't have to wait, 5 years before seeing them in an ALCS. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like where teams are completely different, folks are completely different. Look, it's very similar talent. Like we're just doing it again. You know what I mean?
pretty much. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Aaron Judge? What
Oh,
do you
you mean
think
as
he's
far
gonna
as being
do?
a free agent?
Yeah, what do you think he's gonna? Because listen, I was having this conversation last weekend, I guess maybe, or this past weekend, with the neighbors. We were talking about if he wants to stay or if he's gonna go, and I was like, man, I'll be completely honest with you. I think he's fed up with Yankee fans. I quite
Well,
honestly think he's tired of Yankee. I mean, for God's sake, dude, the guy. I understand. He strikes out a lot, but he pretty much carried that team for all year.
well,
Okay, offensively and defensively, he was good, great actually this year.
he's
And
also a right fielder, but yeah.
yeah, but he had a lot of runs saved with his,
Okay.
with his ability to throw the ball. I mean, he's a big guy, so he can throw the ball well. He can get to the ball. But dude, when he strikes out twice in one game or grounds out twice instead of hitting a home run, they start booing him
It's
immediately.
everybody else. That's everybody else.
Exactly, but it's just that's how they are, man. And it's not all of them. There's some good Yankee fans out there. They're not very many, but there's some out there. But I don't understand how you can be one of the last 4 teams left in baseball and be so miserable to watch your team play base. I mean, in game 3 in like the 7th inning, half of the fans left.
Yeah. I you
How do
know,
you
I
do
guess
that?
I guess you're right. And that historically, we don't have I will say this. We don't have the baseball history. It's sad to say, but like Houston doesn't have the baseball history that a place like New York does. Okay? That's where the damn game was invented, okay? But I will say um
I mean,
that you're right. Like
That's fair, but like how many of the people that grew up with that Yankee history are going to those games now?
not nobody, but there's still a presence in the stadium. There's still a presence in the city. I think Houston's getting there. Obviously, with the volume of success that we've had, we could become a baseball city. And nothing against us. Love the Stros to death. That's what I live and breathe. But I think it's so ingrained in New York that to slightly fail, there is no comeback. I'm not justifying it, but I agree. I think that it's not fair that the fans do that to their players. Like if you think about Houston, like what was it? Game 1 of the Seattle series, right? We were it's like the 8th inning or whatever, ninth inning when Jordan hit the walk off, right?
Yeah, ninth inning, 2 outs, down 2 runs.
Yeah, so 2 outs, down 2 runs. Jordan steps up to bat. Literally, I had a buddy in the stadium, and he was like, that you couldn't even breathe. There were that many people left in the stadium
Yeah.
when that time came. We were going to lose, knowing that maybe we would be disappointed that our star player, right, just like the judge of New York,
Yeah.
has the potential to strike out in this moment. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the fans didn't give up. Like, we're here to watch the game, and so that is the biggest difference that you bring that up. Also, too, I think there's a certain New York has been so focused on having folks fit the mold, right? And I'm not talking about the little cliche stuff about shave your face, cut your hair, no name on your jersey or whatever. But there's so much about that to be part of their system that I don't think the players have the ability to be comfortable as part of a team.
I agree.
Obviously, all of the Astros brought it up at the ALCS, and maybe it's cliche, but they were all post game interviews at the ALCS, right? Um, Pena number one, like we're playing. I prepped. I played my game the way I play my game, but I don't play my game for me. I don't play my game for the Astros. Really, I play it for every other person that's on this field, right? For all the
Yeah.
boys, essentially, right?
Yeah. The
There's that.
BOIs.
Yes, the why.
The
That's who he's. That's who he's playing for, and I know it seems cliche. I know it's all the warm and fuzzy BS that happens, but I don't think the Yankees, because of their system, because of their coaching, because of their fan base, you can never play the game for boys, right? You
Yeah.
always have to play the game for the business. And I, say what you will, coaching is great, business is great, money is great, right? They have a ridiculous salary cap, but you don't win championships and you don't have um, good chemistry that makes you win games, whether they're by talent or justification, one way or the other. You don't have that if you're part of that regiment. And I think people like Judge, who have good talent, probably good people, um, recognize that and they want to get out of the system. Last thing I'll say on this that links back to that. It's kind of contrary to this, but I for the longest time into this, but I for the longest time didn't think that Tom Brady was a human being because he played for the Patriots. It's almost like anything that came out of his mouth in a post game conference was what was pre vetted by Belichick.
Yeah.
Anything that he told his team in a public setting was pre vetted by that is Bill Belichick. Obviously, it was an effective system, but I feel like now that he did his time with Tampa, like, cool guy, does funny commercials, cuts up with his boys, like he's in the Houston mind frame of sports, whereas before he's kind of under the Yankee regimen up in New England though. Obviously it's football, but you see what I'm saying? Like that's the biggest difference. Like they're
Yeah.
just machines at Yankee Stadium, and I think Aaron Judge probably is a great human and deserves to be respected for hitting 300 plus, especially going yard 1 out of every 3, essentially. Um,
Yeah.
and he doesn't get that from the fans.
Just no appreciation at all, it seems like. I mean, there's some out there that give it to him, but I'm like, dude, like I just can't. We'll get into it a little bit more after we switch beers, but we do need to switch over the other one here.
Yeah, sorry. My thing is, where does he go? Like, let's come back on that.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. We'll talk about
okay.
possible landing spots.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. Like, I have, and just as a disclaimer to everyone, I know that I really trash talked 11 below. I stand by it, but um, I have not have. So hopefully this is a surprise. I've not had a deep Galveston Island Brewing beer. Just really haven't cared for any of them yet. So maybe the Oktoberfest turns me around, but it's dissipated since. But decent head, definitely not what 11 below was bringing to the table. But color is spot on. Zero haziness, nice and clean. That kind of washed copper penny look. I'm into it.
Yeah. The only I've had a couple of, or actually, I don't think I've only had one Galveston Island beer. It's their like mellow yellow or something. Not maybe not mellow yellow. That's a soda, I think. But it's an I. They do a lot of IPAs out of there, so that's one thing to think of. But again, this has the same IBUs as the last one, so
As a starting point, smells less like communal.
A lot less like an laundromat.
Yeah, communal. Oh, dude.
Oh,
See,
that's pretty good.
I'm in on that. And you know why?
That's pretty
Because the
good.
yeah, the bitterness isn't outpaced by the sweet wheat finish.
Yeah, it's a pretty smooth finish.
Yeah, and it goes in less bitter than I would assume, considering how the 11 below felt at 22 IBU.
Yeah, it's let me see. Not
Oh,
as
bro,
sweet
I'm
to me
in.
either.
No.
In
Whew,
fact, it's
Galveston.
really not sweet at all.
Galveston's trying to redeem itself here.
It's
I don't know.
also not very bitter,
No.
considering that the IBUs are the same as the 11 below. I feel like that's maybe a little off, but
No, I think what it is that with the 11 below, it hits, it's bitter, and then that sweetness finishes it off. So you're like, oh, it was more bitter than I thought. Whereas this, it's like, easy intake, easy finish. There's
and
a little bit of bitterness that's left on the tongue.
let me ask you this: you just cracked yours. How's the fizz?
I mean, I had a pretty like it was pretty decent head, and then it dissipated. But when it goes into the mouth, it still stays nice and full
Okay,
bodied.
okay, that's good to know.
Why is yours not there?
It is a little bit not like I would expect it to, but again, mine's been open for 50 minutes, so
Well, the 11 below definitely had more carbonation to it.
yeah.
Um, but I don't think this is like that might have been overkill. It was great. I loved it. That's actually the only I would say.
I would agree that the 11 belows was overkill on the fizz.
I wouldn't even. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say overkill, but I would say that that's definitely its only redeeming quality, if it could be redeemed. In my eyes, I feel like I'm really killing it here, but yeah, that's the only thing that's keeping it. That's the only thing that made it drinkable throughout. Otherwise, I would have abandoned it.
Oh wow, really? That was the thing that kept you around?
What? Yeah, I mean, what do you mean? I mean, I guess the conversation, but anyways, um,
I see how it is.
dude, what I think is great is all of their cans basically reflect that particular. That obviously the Galveston Island Brewing or whatever, but they take on the Oktoberfest. They got some blue, they got some gold, they got some diamond checkers.
They got the lettering in there, that classic English style lettering.
Yeah,
It's pretty nice.
Mm,
They have some good designs in their cans, honestly.
yeah, and again, not my favorite. Not my favorite brewer. It's not like everything that comes out of there I like, but this is one that I would drink again, and I would seek out maybe seasonally.
Yeah, this one's
Now,
good. This again is very similar to last week for me with the I think we said that the Brooklyn one was a lot more of like a repeatable.
Mhm.
This one's pretty repeatable for me, I think.
Another thing that I would mention is, do we think it tastes different on the island than if it's just what? You know?
I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is I did have the same IPA on draft in Galveston that I had in can here in
Yeah.
Houston, and it was very
And
similar. So I'll say that. Of course,
so it's
taking into account that draft, I had preferred draft more, so it was a little bit better in that sense. But
it's consistent, you're saying.
yeah, the consistency is there. Um, okay, yeah. So, anyways, going back to what we were talking about here, real quick. Another thing, I think going back on like the fans booing the Yankee players for just messing up maybe a couple times or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, for God's sake, Altuve went 0 for 24 to start the postseason, and if not, everybody got on their feet when he came up to bat, man.
Yes.
Every
So
single
that,
time.
and then one other thing, and I don't remember who I was talking to. I was talking to a buddy from Baltimore, which he's an Orioles fan, so take what I have to say with a grain of salt. but he was like so much respect because everybody, Pena was the ALCS MVP.
Yeah.
Verlander got to talk, McCullers got to talk. I didn't watch the entire show, but who was they kept passing the trophy back and forth. Uh, Guriel and Altuve, but Altuve was closest to the podium, and every single person in the reaction videos, whether they were in the audience or whether they were in studio or whatever, whenever Altuve had it, it was like because maybe defensively, but offensively didn't contribute a whole lot throughout these two sweeps.
Right.
However, however,
He was
he
big in
was
game 4 though. He came through in game 4.
yes, but I mean, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that being said, there's no other place he should have been besides right next to that podium holding that
Front and
trophy.
center.
And I think that the city thought that. I think everyone thought that. Not because he's a franchiser and because basically he's brought than the last just the 4 years of success out of six. That's just the mentality of the mindset of the fans and the mentality of the team versus that of New York. But it was
Yeah.
funny that again, I think that because we know him, right? We see him every night whenever he plays. But even somebody from Baltimore was like, dude, there's like, yeah, he was terrible except for game 4 of the
Yeah.
ALCS.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's where he should be because he has done everything else throughout every other season to put them in that spot. Whereas that's not the Yankee mentality. The Yankee mentality is
Yeah.
oh, Aaron Judge hit 2 home runs in the whatever he didn't, but he hit 2 home runs in the fourth game. Well, he had 4 at bats, so why the hell didn't he hit 3? You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And then going back again, how you were talking about like how the culture is so different there, and you were talking about how it's like remind you a lot about Tom Brady being in Boston and like how everything that he said there kind of seemed scripted,
Yeah.
before they said it. So after they lost that game 2 in Houston, and they all, for the most part, they were all saying, "Oh, well, the roof beat us." Right? Because
Yeah.
they had the roof open, so the wind really pulled Judge's ball down or whatever. There was one person that said that didn't matter, and it was the guy that hit the fucking ball. It was Aaron
Really?
Judge. He was the only one that said, I mean, it is what it is. The roof was open. We all had to play with it,
I mean,
So, I mean, yeah, I can't really say anything about that. But even the coach and like so many other players that they interviewed, they were like, well, you see, for example, Alex Bregman's ball was hit like 98 miles per hour and it got out somehow, but Judge's was 106 off the bat and it didn't get out. So it just shows you that the wind really hurt us tonight. And I was like,
listen,
wait a second here. That's not how it works, buddy.
Listen, I would love to have a group of physicists, break down trajectory versus mile per hour versus wind. Yeah, we can over like humans do. We can beat it to death. But at the end of the day, it's a game. It's baseball, right? The spirit.
It's a
I
game
am a
of
firm believer.
millimeters, man.
Well, and I don't know that there's a science behind it, but I'm a firm believer that like, and this is gonna sound really squishy and cheesy, but like maybe one heart of the men that were in that dugout played into Bregman's ball carrying into left field, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to Judges with the cold, militaristic, um, lackluster, without soul hearts of a business franchise that sat in that dugout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, yeah.
Maybe that's a little harsh. I'm just saying like I feel like you can break it down and obviously there's a science that can tear them down and if there was a difference then I'm sorry, Aaron Judge. But you can't tell me that one home run
Well, I can
that
tell
one
you what
home run changed the entire outcome of the rest of the
I mean, I can tell you what the difference was in the two hits. It was launch angle,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what everybody talks about it now. That's literally been like the conversation for statistics and batting. That's why like people like Tucker and I mean, he's not doing too well now and Cody Bellinger, but the way that they swing the bat with that long wipe of a swing, that's because they're trying to create that launch angle to hit the ball out. That's literally what the entire offensive scheme of everybody in baseball has come to.
Do you think they define it as wipe? That's great terminology. That's accurate. But is that what it's called?
I think they call it sweeping, like sweeping through the strike zone, but it is more of a wipe to me.
Yeah, that's good terminology. You might want to trademark that, coin that or something.
Yeah. But
Okay,
yeah,
so
so where do you think he's gonna go, Judge?
I look at the big, who first off, who's going to pay money because he's still he's still an athlete. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds his way into an organization like the Cubs or the Met. I mean, it'd be great if he found his way into the Mets.
That would
Only
be
just
that would be top two comical things that could happen.
Yeah, I would say, the Cubs obviously throw some money out, the Mets throw some money out. Um, I don't know who else would have available like salary cap to pay him. I mean, it'd be funny to see him go to like, dude, I tell you what would be great if he went to somewhere like Tampa.
Yeah, right. If they finally flesh some money out for somebody,
Yeah, if they were to pay some money, because obviously they've been building out pitching. I mean, a little bit, right? They've been building out pitching. They've had, some rotation there that's been strong. Let's put some offensive players on the roster. They won't cut that kind of check, but that would be interesting.
I think the only
Um,
problem with Tampa is that their fans suck also.
yeah, I know, but they're
And they don't deserve it
listen.
because they're a damn good baseball team.
Listen, any fan's going to be an upgrade. At least they're consistent,
That's
right?
true.
That's the problem with New York. Tampa Bay, they suck all the time. Not the team, the fans.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, whereas the Yankees, it's like, oh, if when you're on top of the world, you're on top. Otherwise, they're digging your grave. You don't want the large ups and downs. Um, I would say those are the two front runners. I don't know who out west could potentially take them. I
So
don't
the
really
big
see.
rumor is that the Giants are going to go all in to try to get him.
Oh yeah, I could see the Giants taking him.
And supposedly somebody in the organization has said that nobody is going to be able to outbid them.
Well, you save your money and bide your time. Happenstance creates opportunities, but I don't know if. Do you think he's going to care about what's built around him?
Um, yeah.
I mean, I guess that argument could be made about any of the other franchises that I just mentioned, at least in comparison to the Giants. But
Listen, when you sign somebody like Judge, you're not signing necessarily for immediate success. You're
no,
signing him to build. You're going to sign him long term to build around
okay, that's fine. But how does he feel
him.
about that? That's my question.
Well, I mean, it's tough to go from a team that was top four, made it to the ALCS, to maybe a team that doesn't make the playoffs. But I mean, you see, Correa just did it. Obviously, he
Yeah,
did his is kind of a different reason. It's kind of sketchy, but
yeah.
like George Springer did it with us. He left us, went to the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are kind of like right there on playoff contingency, but
You know
not
what I find?
really.
I know that we can't expect each of these players to create what Houston has where they go, but it's been very interesting to me to see performance of Springer in Toronto, performance of Correa in Minnesota. Um, the performance, even let's go a couple years back, the performance of old boy in New York. Why is his name escaping me?
Garrett Cole.
Um, yeah, like again, I have to go back to spirit of the team. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man.
culture. I mean, I think the Blue Jays are fine. I think they're gonna get there soon. I mean, they
But
made it to the
he's
playoffs this year, but uh,
but
they're gonna be fine in the long run.
historically his health isn't stellar either, and obviously he's aging compared to when he was with us. But what, by a
Yeah, but
year,
even
two?
with us, he was very unhealthy. But I mean, you
He
have
did.
people do what?
No, go ahead.
I mean, you have people too, like oh, what's his name that signed with the Rangers that was on the Dodgers? Can't think of his name now. Seager, Corey Seager, right? Corey,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, he went
Why am I
from
thinking Kyle? But that's not right. Go ahead.
Kyle played for the Mariners against us
Yeah,
for a
I know.
very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was on literally I mean, a 60 game season World Series winning Dodgers team. Okay. Uh but nonetheless a very 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 good Dodgers team, and he left to go to the Rangers to rebuild around him. Now he got his ring already though, so maybe that's a little different for him.
True story.
I don't see Judge turning down a large contract to be built around though.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
especially
he would go somewhere like the Giants to.
especially if I'm escaping New York.
Yeah, exactly. Just honestly, forget the fans and everything. Just really weather alone to be able to get out of New York and go to California. I mean, both. I mean, I don't necessarily you know like
No.
one over the other, but one has better weather in my opinion. In the state, at
Yeah,
least. Maybe not in that exact city, but the state.
I'll agree. I'll agree. It's a very interesting principle when we talk about up. Dude, I will tell you, there was a win for me. There was a win for me coming out of the NLDS. Bro, I
Yeah.
love that, but both Atlanta and the Dodgers getting booted. I already won. Like my season could have ended there. Not that I wanted to, but my
Oh
season could
yeah.
have ended there.
The Phillies scare me though. But here's the thing: is like this year is very similar to me of 2019 when we did have to play the Nationals. Sorry,
Yes.
because I really loved that Nationals team. So it
Yeah.
didn't hurt me when we lost, and I feel that same way for this Phillies team. Like I just like the Phillies in general because I love Bryce Harper, but this team is very fun. They're having a lot of fun right now, and they're very hot and they're very scary, and I'm terrified. But
I almost feel like what would really make it for me, regardless of how it goes down, right? We're gonna assume the Astros get it in four because we're on a sweep streak. But
I don't like to assume anything with that one, but
yeah,
okay.
okay. Well, let's say whoever wins, it would be badass, man. Based on the spirit of each franchise, if they all still partied in the same locker room, dude. It's never happened, but how killer would that be?
It would be cool.
It would be.
But I think that's kind of like it's like you don't want as the opposing team to like intrude on the other team's
No,
celebration, you know.
no, you don't. But I also feel like I don't know about the Phillies if they took a poll, but I feel like I don't know them, but I feel like if you were to poll every single one of the Stros, they would be like,
The Dodgers and the
"But
Yankees are out.
bruh, like no, I think they would be like, screw it, man. Like Phillies, I mean, it was a good go. Like they can crack a beer with us.
Yeah.
Champagne's free. Let's rock and
Yeah.
roll.
Let's
You know what I mean?
ride, baby.
And there would be no hard feelings. There would be no, I don't know. I just genuinely feel like if anybody were to walk, even a Yankee, right? Even the Dodgers, as much as there's been turmoil back and forth,
Yeah, I think so. I think that
are in it. I guarantee you.
yeah, I think the Astros players would be pretty maybe after they were like over the loss, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be one team that's a little upset. But lastly, on that note, not to tie it back to this, but everybody's always trying to politically unite, right? In the NFL, they're doing all the shenanigans they're doing, and everywhere else, they're doing all the shenanigans. I think what the world needs, and maybe for my enjoyment, is for a joint celebration between winners and losers in the World Series. That's what we need.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
You know, that's uniting.
All right, speaking of winners and losers, I think we both agree that the Galveston Island is better.
Yes, I'm gonna do my total
Um,
up, and then we can spill the beans. But honestly, I talked it up too much. But I will say that it might be the front runner. I've got to add everything up,
so
but
yeah, the Galveston is tied with Odell for me right now.
okay. Well, easy loser for me is 11 below. Doing the math on that was
Yeah, me too.
embarrassing.
And in fact, I think I'm gonna bump Galveston Island up. I think I'm gonna bump it
Ooh.
up to the winner.
Okay, yeah. So here's the thing.
I'm
I
gonna give it a
am
1 point dub.
okay. Well, I'm tied with Odell, but let me run back through this. I've got a 4 for entry, 5 for aftertaste, 3 for body. Maybe I can give it a 4 for body. I'm not trying to make it the winner, but maybe I underestimated that. Uh, 4 color. Actually, that could be a 5. 4 for bitterness, 4 for acidity, and 3 for fizz. So I got a 29 for the Galveston Island Brewing, which, for the fans, I'm going to be honest with you, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, before we started this episode, he was saying that he was not excited to try the Galveston Island because of his previous experiences with their beers. So,
Yeah, it's just been historical trash overall, but they're redeeming themselves in a category that historically, as we know, can be fairly competitive based on the other players in the game.
mm.
They're winning as far as Oktoberfest is concerned, and they're putting themselves back on the map, uh, at least to my palate, representing G Unit.
Unit.
I'm gonna drop it in there, but yeah, Galveston Island.
All right, yeah. So I've got a 5 on entry for Galveston Island, a
Mm-hmm.
5 on the aftertaste, a 4 on the body. I got a perfect 6 on the color. I don't think it could have been better color wise.
Yeah.
Bitterness 4, acidity 5, and fizz 4 for a total of 33.
Gotcha. So I know that there's only a scale from 1 to 6, but we stay fairly aligned. Although our sense of color is a little bit off more than everything else, but we're fairly aligned when it comes to everything else. I point one way.
Yeah.
Now,
Um,
last, what did
yeah.
you have for 11 below?
3 on entry, a 2 on aftertaste. I didn't like it very much. 3 on body. Didn't like it very much. I thought the color was still great though. It got a 6 from me on that. Uh, a 3 for bitterness, a 3 for acidity, and a 2 for fizz.
All right, so we are way off base on that one, but I'll say I've got a 2 on entry. It hit hard. I've got a 2 on aftertaste. We aligned on that. I think we spoke about that a little bit. I have a 4 on body. I think it was equivalent as far as body was concerned with the Galveston Island. Um, 3 on color. It was a little cloudier than I would have liked it to be, even after foam dissipation.
Now, okay,
Bitterness.
to be fair, I'm getting my color through your camera, so
Ah, touche. Okay.
so so that might have a little bit to do with it. So
There's rose-colored glasses via the lens there. Um, so bitterness, I've got a 2. Yeah, it was just a little too much for me. Acidity, yet a 2. It did win versus the Galveston on fizz. Had a great head, had a lot more bub. Maybe you said a little bit over, but I think it was right on par with what I'm looking for. However, all that being said, because of entry, aftertaste, bitterness, and acidity, it only tallied up to 19 points, which makes it by far the caboose car in this race.
yeah, it was the lowest on my list as well. So
Yeah.
still pretty much consistent with those at least.
So again, I know that we're kind of trying to put a bow on this thing, but of the 6 that we went through, right, as a sample set of the larger Marzen Oktoberfests, for me, out of what we had, I was dead set after the second one we tasted that Odell's was not going to be able to be top. And Galveston Island Brewing, I'm not going to say sweep, but 3 points
Hey,
on
they walked it off at the end,
they definitely did. And again, this is coming from someone who's biased. Nothing against Galveston Island. If you hashtag them in this, they're turning it around, and I'm becoming a brand supporter because of the seasonal Oktoberfest.
Yeah, it was a damn good one.
Yeah.
That burp is what I had to say
Yep.
about it.
Sounds. It sounds as much. I think that
Yeah.
could be the marketing slogan. It's a damn good one, and then let the belch out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing that really makes that commercial. You say it's a damn good one. You let the burp out. The subtitle, even if they're not turned on, is boy.
Boy. Yeah.
Tell me, dude. Tell me that's not marketing. Literally, I mean, it's a damn good one. You let the belch out, and then regardless of what the TV has it set as, that's the subtitle, and it says "boy," and then it says brewed on island, and then that's the whole.
All I'm saying is they need to hire us, marketing
Listen,
squad.
tag them in it, and listen, we'll bring people running. I don't know how, but trust me, boy, we'll let them know.
So, yeah. Speaking of marketing, go follow us on our socials. Uh, Instagram is at Off the Tap Podcast, and the Twitter is at Off the Tap Pod. Um, again, Twitter is where we do most of our interaction, so that's the best one to hit us up on.
Yep, and promise me one day we will have a poll to put out on that. But until we get there, if you can't remember to follow us on Twitter, at least remember to keep the fizz.